My daughter sold my wedding ring for a man who left her in 7 days. Not stolen by a stranger. Not lost by accident. Not misplaced. Taken. Sold. Cashed. Gone. 40 years of marriage, memories, sacrifice. Converted into a restaurant bill and a hotel room with a boy she barely knew. It was a Thursday morning when I opened my bedside drawer and felt my stomach drop. The little wooden box was still there, but empty. I checked under the bed, bathroom counter, kitchen shelf, nothing. My heartbeat went loud. My hands shook. I knew only one person could have taken it. I walked straight to her room. Alyssa was sitting cross-legged on her bed, red nails, phone in her hand, music playing. 24 years old, beautiful, confident, and blind to how the world really works. I asked calmly, "Did you take my wedding ring?" She didn't flinch. She didn't look guilty. She just said, "Yeah, I sold it." No apology. No hesitation. Not even shame. Then she added, "Mom, it was just sitting there. You weren't even wearing it. Evan needed something nice for our date. You should be happy for me." Happy. She expected me to smile because my memories paid for her night out. I felt anger, disbelief, heartbreak, like years of motherhood collapsing in seconds. But I didn't scream. I simply walked out. Because rage can shake walls. But silence shakes hearts. That night, she didn't come home. Next morning she posted Instagram stories. Champagne. Steak dinner. Hotel view. Evan's arm around her waist. My ring paid for it all. I sat in the kitchen with cold coffee, staring at the images like they were knives. Not because she spent money, but because she spent me. 3 nights passed after she sold my ring. 3 nights of silence. 3 nights of my phone lighting up with everything except her name. She posted pictures, smiling, drinking, dancing. Paid for with the only symbol of love her father left behind. I kept those screenshots. Not to remember her joy, but to remember the cost of it. Then came night 4. 12:47 a.m. My phone rang, not once, but 6 times back to back. The type of call that doesn't ask permission. It begs. Caller ID. Alyssa. When I picked up, I didn't hear her voice at first. Only her breathing. Shaky. Fast. Broken. Then I heard it. "Mom, he left." Not dramatic. Not poetic. Just truth. Blunt like a hammer. I sat up straight in bed. "Evan." A sob replaced the answer. Then through choking breaths. "He took the money, he blocked me, he said he never loved me. Mom, I have nowhere to go." She didn't say sorry for selling the ring. She didn't say I was wrong. All she asked was, "Can I come home?" I wanted to say yes instantly. Because mothers don't unlove their children. But something inside me held my mouth shut for a full 5 seconds. Not revenge. Not cruelty. Clarity. Finally I said, "The door is open. Come if you want, but the consequences come too." No comfort. No rescuer tone. Just truth. She came home at 1:19 a.m. Mascara streaked across her cheeks. Hair frizzy. Heels in her hands. Dress wrinkled like hope after rain. The girl who left with glitter returned like a fallen star. She dropped to her knees in my hallway. Right on the rug she spilled juice on when she was 9. And she cried. Not dramatic movie tears. Real, ugly, helpless crying. I stood 3 feet away. I didn't hug her. Didn't rush. I asked only one question. Was he worth my ring? Her face collapsed. Like someone removed the last support beam and let the whole building fall. She whispered, "I don't know who I am without him." I answered quietly. "Then you're going to learn." Not cruel. Necessary. Because pain isn't the enemy. Pain teaches what comfort hides. She slept in her old room that night. Door wide open. Light on. Blanket not covering her fully. She was too tired to fix it. I stood at the doorway for 5 full minutes. Something inside me wanted to tuck her in, kiss her forehead, tell her everything would be fine. But motherhood changes with age. When they fall at 5, you pick them up. When they fall at 24, you let them feel the ground. Morning arrived like reality. She sat at the table with swollen eyes, hair tied back without care, hoodie instead of glamour. No makeup. No boyfriend. No ring-funded luxury. Just my daughter. Raw, human, small. I placed 2 plates on the table. Eggs. Toast. Coffee. We ate in silence until she broke. Mom. I messed up. I nodded. Slowly. Yes. You did. She waited for a rescue. A motherly speech. A forgiveness ribbon. But I wasn't done. I said, "You didn't just lose him. You lost yourself trying to please him." She stared down, shame loud in the room. Then she whispered the first honest sentence since this began. "Teach me how to start again." There it was. Not give me money. Not fix it for me. Teach me. The word that heals. And so the real story begins. Not with loss, but with rebuilding. Not with a ring, but with responsibility. Not with forgiveness, but with growth. Because this isn't a story about a stolen piece of jewelry. It's about a mother who gave her daughter back something more valuable, herself. Fast pace, emotionally heavy, events focused, no dragging. Alyssa didn't change overnight. Nobody does. But that week, something in her posture shifted. Her voice got quieter. Her eyes didn't sparkle with entitlement, they trembled with awareness. She woke up early for the first time in years. Hair tied up, no makeup, sweatshirt instead of sequins. She walked into the kitchen and didn't look like a princess. She looked like a person. "Mom, do you know anyone hiring?" Not give me money. Not fix my life. Not save me. She wanted to earn instead of take. And that mattered. She took a waitressing job downtown. Minimum wage, long hours, loud customers, aching feet. Day 1 she came home with blisters and sore shoulders. Day 2 she came home with complaints and tears. Day 5 she came home exhausted, but proud. Because that day she earned her first tip. $18. She placed the money on the table in front of me like it was treasure. And in that moment, it was. Not because it was money. Because it was hers. Earned. Not taken. Worked for. Not grabbed. She started waking before sunrise, ironing her uniform, packing lunch, waving goodbye at the door. No more late clubs. No more designer dreams. No more Evan. Just maturity growing like sunlight after storm. She cooked dinner sometimes. Did dishes without me asking. Brought groceries home with her own paycheck. One evening she said quietly, "I used to think love was shown by gifts. Now I think love is shown by responsibility." That sentence alone was worth more than the ring for a moment. Because that was growth. We weren't perfect again. Not yet. There were awkward breakfasts, quiet evenings, emotional distance. Trust is not glue. It's stitching. Tiny threads, slowly pulled over wounds. But she tried. She sat with me on the couch again. She asked about my day. She laughed, not loud for attention, but soft like a person who finally understands gratitude. And every night when I heard her slow footsteps coming home tired, I exhaled with something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. 3 months passed. Then one night she came home later than usual, uniform still on, smell of coffee and bakery on her clothes. Instead of collapsing on the bed, she walked straight to me. Hands shaking. Not with fear. With purpose. She placed $620 on the table. My savings. I want to replace the ring. My heart stopped moving for a second. Money doesn't replace memory. Jewelry doesn't rebuild trust. But effort does. She didn't ask me to forgive her. She earned my respect back, piece by piece. And that is worth more than gold. It doesn't come with fireworks or a dramatic background score. It looks like a washing dishes after work, a taking responsibility without excuses, a not blaming others for mistakes, a facing consequences with open eyes, a rebuilding trust instead of demanding it. Alyssa finally understood that. She wasn't trying to impress a man anymore. She was trying to deserve herself. And as her mother, watching that development, I felt something return slowly like a heartbeat after CPR. Pride. Not for what she used to be. For what she was becoming. 4 months had passed. Alyssa was standing at the kitchen counter packing sandwiches for her shift when her phone lit up. Name on the screen like a ghost from another life. Evan. The same man who took her ring. The same man who vanished after spending it. Her hands froze. Knife mid-air, breath caught between ribs. She stared at the phone so long it rang into silence. Then it rang again. This time, she answered. Voice smooth, familiar, toxic as wine that tastes sweet but kills slow. Hey baby, long time. I'm going through something. Need money urgently. Just a few thousand. You always understood me. Her face turned pale. Her fingers shook. That old version of her, the one who believed love means saving a man, came back like a shadow behind her eyes. She didn't say yes, but she didn't say no either. She just stood there drowning in memories, guilt, loneliness, longing, shame. Evan kept talking like nothing happened. I miss you. We could start over, you and me. Just help me one last time. And before she could answer, I stepped into the kitchen. I saw her face before she spoke. That lost little girl expression mothers never forget. She hung up slowly, like her fingers weighed 100 pounds. I didn't ask gently. I asked like a woman who knew this could break her again. Was that him? Alyssa swallowed hard. Yes. She looked at the floor like she was ashamed to meet my eyes. I walked to her slowly, calm, not angry, and placed a mug of tea beside her. Why did he call? There was a long silence. Then truth cracked her open. He wants money. He says he needs help, and my heart, it still reacts before my mind does. She looked up finally, eyes wet, voice trembling like a leaf in winter wind. Mom, I don't want to be that girl again. The one who gave everything and kept nothing. And for the first time since she sold my ring, I saw the woman she was becoming, not the child she was. The test of growth. I didn't protect her with soft words. I didn't shield her from choice. Real growth needs freedom, even to fall. So I asked only one quiet question. What do you think you should do? Not what I think. Not what the world expects. Her decision. Her voice. Her boundary. Her chest rose, fell, rose again. You could almost see her fighting herself. The old heart that loved foolishly. Versus the new mind that learned painfully. She finally sat down, hands clasped tight. Part of me wants to help him. I didn't interrupt. But the other part of me knows. If I give him money, I'll lose myself again. Her voice cracked, but it didn't break. I worked too hard to rebuild who I am. I won't sell my worth again. In that moment, she wasn't weak. She was strong enough to feel everything and still stand. I reached across the table and gently held her hand. Not to lead her, but to stand beside her. Honey, love is not proven by sacrifice. Love is proven by respect, and he never gave you that. Her tears finally spilled. Not like breakdown, like release. Like she let go of something heavy. She wiped her face, exhaled deeply, and picked up her phone again. Not shaking. Not afraid. Come. She typed slowly, every word a boundary she never knew she could build. I'm not your bank. I'm not your backup plan. I'm not coming back. She blocked his number and placed her phone down like she had just placed a stone from her chest onto the floor. When she looked at me, her voice was small but steady. I choose myself this time. And I smiled. Not because she obeyed me, but because she became someone she could be proud of. Someone I could proudly call my daughter. The next morning should have been peaceful. Sunlight spilled through the kitchen window, the smell of coffee warm in the air. Alyssa sat at the table with her planner open, budgeting bills, planning hours at work, trying to move forward like a grown woman. Then her phone buzzed. One notification. One name she thought she erased from her life forever. Evan. She froze. Slow heartbeat. Slow breath. Slow drowning. She opened the message, and her entire world snapped in half. I still have your photos. You know the ones. Pay me or they go public. Her pulse exploded. Hands cold. Body shaking. Mind racing like brakes failed on a downhill road. He didn't say please. He didn't ask help me. He commanded. Like he owned her. Like she was still the girl who sold a 40-year-old wedding ring for his smile. She locked her phone. Unlocked it. Locked again. She couldn't breathe properly. Like air turned into needles. For a full hour, she paced her room silently. Emotions spiraling like storm wind. Fear, anger, disgust, regret. But the strongest emotion wasn't fear. It was shame. Shame that she had ever trusted him. Shame that she had kissed him, believed him, loved him. Shame that she had let him take those pictures. Moments she now wished never existed. And worst of all, she couldn't tell me. Not because I'd scold her. Not because I'd judge her. But because she believed I'd hurt. She'd rather drown quietly than let me feel guilt for her choices. That silence, that isolation, was how Evan still controlled her. Even blocked, he still owned space in her head. For days, I watched her slip away like sunlight fading behind a cloud. The girl who used to sing while cooking, now ate in silence. The girl who once painted her dreams across canvases, now stared at blank walls like nothing inside wanted out anymore. She thought she hid it well. But a mother recognizes breaking the same way fire recognizes smoke. Every night, she fell asleep late, eyes swollen, phone clutched to her chest like a loaded gun. And one night, after hours of hearing her restless breathing, her quiet sobs muffled into the pillow, I opened her door. Slowly. Softly. Like entering a burning room without waking the flames. There she was, curled up beneath the blanket, phone loose in her hand, light still flickering on the screen. I didn't want to invade her privacy. But watching her drown quietly was torture. So I took the phone. Hands trembling. Not with fear, but with purpose. I opened the messages. And in 1 second, I understood every tear she hid from me. The threats. The countdown. The blurred photos. The monster wearing a young man's face. And then I cried. Not like she did. Quietly. I cried the way a mother cries when she sees her child cornered by a wolf. Not sadness. Rage. I didn't wake her. I didn't ask permission. I didn't let shame steal another day. I put on my coat. I took the phone. And I marched into the night like I was made of fire. Straight to the police station. No hesitation. I showed the messages. The proof. The threats. My voice didn't shake. Not once. Because when a mother stands between her child and danger, even God listens. The officer read everything. Looked up with steady eyes and said, Ma'am, we'll take it from here. They traced his number. Pulled his address. A warrant was issued before morning. By sunrise, Evan was in handcuffs. Begging. Crying. Swearing he didn't mean it. But blackmail isn't a mistake. It's a choice. Police searched his phone. His laptop. His cloud storage. Every photo, every threat, everything he used as a cage, was destroyed. No more leverage. No more power. No more shadow over my daughter's life. And I didn't stop there. I filed charges. Restraining order. Digital harassment report. Stored evidence as backup. I fought for her the way I wish she'd believed I could. Maybe she thought I'd judge her. But I only saw my baby standing in a fire she didn't know how to put out. So I became water. When she woke up, she came downstairs sleepy, eyes soft, thinking it was just another hard day. I was waiting with 2 cups of tea. She sat, nervous, unsure why my smile looked different. And I said 4 words gently. Not accusing, not angry, just steady. I know everything, honey. Her face broke. She cried like 5 years of pain cracked open at once. Not from fear anymore but from relief. She collapsed into my arms and sobbed the truth I already knew. And I held her. Not like a child who made mistakes, but like a woman who survived them. She stared at me through tears, still shaking, still frightened, as if one wrong breath would break her all over again. I cupped her face gently, the way I did when she was little, afraid of thunder. And I finally said the words she had been dying to hear. You don't have to be scared anymore. I've taken care of everything. Her eyes widened, confusion, shock, disbelief. She blinked fast like her brain was trying to catch up. I talked to the police, I continued softly, brushing her hair behind her ear. They have his phone. His threats are gone. He can't hurt you now. Not in any world I exist in. Her lips trembled. Mom, you did all that? Alone. I smiled through my own tears. Because you are not alone. You were never alone. You just forgot, and I refused to. She broke, completely, beautifully, collapsing into my chest like she was finally safe after drowning for too long. She whispered, I thought you'd be ashamed of me. And I held her even tighter. A mother doesn't feel shame when her child falls. She feels fire to fight the ones who push them. For the first time in months, she breathed, really breathed, like life returned to her lungs. No blackmail. No fear. No chains around her throat. Just relief. And my arms. She wiped her tears, voice still shaky but alive again. What happens now? Mom. I lifted her chin gently. Now. We rebuild you. Piece by piece. And this time, you rise stronger than anything that tried to break you. The next morning felt different. No storm. No weight. No invisible hands closing around my daughter's throat. Sunlight touched her face like it was seeing her again. Not the broken version, but the one who was finally starting to stand. She walked into the kitchen slowly, still fragile, but present. Eyes puffy, hair messy, but there was something new in her. Something like oxygen after months underwater. I slid a cup of coffee toward her. She didn't say much. She didn't need to. That quiet sip meant more than any apology ever could. And then I watched her do something I'd waited years to see. She opened her laptop. Updated her resume. Sent job applications. Without me asking. Then she cleaned her room. Deleted old messages. Blocked the number she once waited for like oxygen. Not because I told her. But because she wanted better now. Over the next weeks. She woke up early. Took online courses. Got her first real job. Part-time at a design studio. Came home tired, but glowing in a way heartache could never grant. We cooked together at night, side by side. Like two women building something new from broken pieces. Some days she laughed freely. Some days she cried and I just held her. Healing isn't straight. It spirals, it slips. But every morning she rose anyway. One evening, she sat beside me on the couch. Calm, grown, steady. Mom. I thought losing him would end me, she said quietly. I placed my hand on hers. And now. She looked up, eyes clearer than the night he betrayed her. Now I'm glad he left. I exhaled like I'd been holding that breath for months. Because finally, she chose herself. Not a boy. Not validation. Not escape. Herself. And that was the beginning of the woman she was meant to become. Weeks passed. And this time, her life wasn't spiraling downward. It was quietly rising. At her new job, she wasn't just learning design software or meeting deadlines. She was meeting people who respected her. People who didn't take advantage of her softness. Especially one of them. A young manager, Caleb, steady voice, kind eyes, the kind of man who asked if she'd eaten before asking for results. He wasn't dramatic, loud, or intoxicating like the boy who broke her. He was gentle, present, real. One evening, she came home from work humming, actually humming. I hadn't heard that in years. Someone seems happy, I teased. Her smile was small but full of light. He's different, Mom. And when she said he, I didn't feel fear this time. I felt hope. I watched them slowly orbit closer. No rush, no begging, no chaos. Coffee after work. Late night project calls. Caleb driving her home when it rained. Even though she insisted she could take the bus. He showed up. Consistently. And that alone was more than the last man ever gave. One afternoon, she asked me quietly, Mom, do you like him? I didn't hesitate. I love the woman you are when you talk about him. Her eyes filled, not with pain, but with something softer. Joy. Safety. A new chapter opening where an old one finally healed shut. Time moved. Gently this time. They dated. They grew. They laughed more than they cried. 1 year later, I stood in a small garden full of white flowers and sunlight, watching my daughter walk down the aisle, steady and shining, toward a man who treasured her heart instead of using it. No ring was stolen this time. No love was taken by force. She chose it. He earned it. And I blessed it. Today she visits every Sunday, hands full of groceries, stories, and joy that once felt impossible. And every time she calls me Mom. I thank life for giving our story a second draft. She didn't just survive heartbreak. She rebuilt, grew, chose better. And now she lives a life that looks like peace. And that, more than any apology, ring, or regret, is the ending I prayed for since the night she fell apart in my arms. A happy ending not brought by luck, but by strength. Hers.